to.
Mr. Speaker.
Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister is fond of coming to this House and telling people to get some guts. And I have a message to the National Party about this legislation: get some guts. The Minister is absolutely right when he says that this is a contentious issue. And I think the National Party should get some guts and deal with this contentious issue themselves, rather than passing the buck onto our territorial authorities. This government, which is so fond of saying to local government that they have to focus on their core responsibilities, that they have to stop increasing rates, that it's always the local government's fault for anything that the government doesn't want to take responsibility for, is passing the buck on an issue which is fundamental to the role of the New Zealand Parliament. This is a matter of industrial relations. We are the decision-making body that is responsible for industrial relations, not local government. And local government turned up at the Select Committee in droves and said to the government, make a decision about this. Some of them said that they were in favour of it, some of them said that they were indifferent to it, but they all said, make this decision yourself, do not pass this on to us. Do not pass this on to us, because it will force us with costs, and it forces councils to make a decision about a contentious issue, one that divides communities, that this national government does not have the guts to deal with itself. So, sir, the government says this is all about choice. Well, where's the choice for National Party MPs? Because the Minister is right when he says this Parliament has considered multiple bills about this issue, and not one of them has passed first reading, because repeatedly parliaments have rejected the idea of Easter trading. And the reason parliaments have rejected Easter trading is because National Party MPs have voted against it. So where is the choice for National Party MPs on this issue? And if it is all about choice, if we should be giving local councils and local communities more choice, well, let's just dissolve Parliament. Let's just dissolve Parliament and get local councils to do everything. Because that's the message we've been hearing, and I'm sure we will hear from national MPs about this issue, that it's all about communities having their own choice. Well, let's all go home. Let's all just go home, spend some time with our families, and give up on Parliament, and we'll just have local councils make all the decisions. That's the message that we're hearing from members opposite, because they haven't been able to get some guts and deal with this issue themselves. Mr. Speaker, I am opposed to this legislation, not on religious grounds. I know that many people are opposed to it on religious grounds, but I am opposed to it because I believe that we should set aside some days that are for families and communities to spend time together. We hear so often from members opposite about what's important about keeping families together, about what's important about building strong communities. Well, actually, spending time together, being able to spend time together, is a really important part of building communities and building families. And we as a nation should set aside some days where families and communities can spend time together. Now, for historical reasons, predominantly we do that on days that are Christian festivals. Personally, that's not terribly important to me. I know it is important to others, and in fact, it's why National Party MPs have repeatedly voted against previous attempts to have Easter trading. But if we were to have a debate about what other days we might have, what's the sensible number of days to set aside for families and communities, and what would be appropriate days to do that in New Zealand, that's a debate I'd be prepared to engage with. But that's never the debate that the National Party initiates. The debate that the National Party initiates is, how can we reduce the number of days that are set aside for families and communities? And if we're doing it on Easter Sunday, well, why not Good Friday? Good Friday is just 2 days apart from Easter Sunday. and we're told that for tourism reasons, it's absolutely vitally important that shops can open on Easter Sunday, yet for some reason it's okay that they're going to be closed on Good Friday. So being closed on the Friday is not going to make or break these businesses, but somehow being open 2 days after that on the Sunday is absolutely fundamental. The businesses are going to go under if they don't have this opportunity. So why not? Why not extend this to Good Friday? Why not extend it to Christmas Day? That's the logic. That's actually what the retailers came to Select Committee and told us that this bill should actually do. So where's the logic? Where is the logic? The other thing that's illogical is that the minister comes to this House and says what we've got at the moment is completely inconsistent across the country. We've got one set of rules in one town and a different set of rules in another town. Well, this isn't going to fix that. This is not going to fix that. You could, in my part of the country, you could have one set of rules in Palmerston North, and 15 minutes up the road in Ian McKelvey's electorate, you could have another set of rules in Fielding. That's completely inconsistent, and that is what is going to happen across the country. Different councils are going to make different decisions, and communities that are close together are going to have completely different sets of rules. That's madness. That's madness, and it's what's madness about it is that is exactly the problem the government claims this legislation is going to solve. But it doesn't. So the legislation is fundamentally flawed. So I want to know from members opposite why they are so opposed to the idea of people just pausing from commercial life, pausing from consumerism, taking a day out and actually spending time with their families. What's so terrible about that idea? That's what I want to know. What is so terrible about that idea? Now, the minister says that they will have that choice because he's written into this legislation that employees will be able to refuse work on Easter Sunday. Well, let's just step back and have an honest assessment of that. Most of these employees are in pretty precarious employment situations. They don't have regular hours. They're often not working full-time. In fact, more often than not working full-time. And they are reliant on maintaining a good relationship with their manager so that they can get as many hours as possible. Now, when they're in that situation, are they really going to turn down the requirement to work on Easter Sunday? Honestly, does the minister think that? Now, the minister's cheap little jibe is that we mustn't have much faith in the unions if we think this is going to be a problem. Well, actually, very few of these people are in unions. This legislation, I actually hope, Mr. Speaker, that this legislation encourages people to join the union because they're going to need the union to actually stick up for them if they want to be able to refuse to work on Easter Sunday. But the truth is, through a variety of means, this national government has eroded union rights, has made it harder for unions to recruit people, have made it harder for unions to bargain for people, and actually union membership in the retail sector is remarkably low. And so these people are not represented by unions. They're on their own. They're completely on their own. And the minister thinks that people in a precarious employment situation are going to feel confident to turn around to their manager and say, no, I'm not going to work on Easter Sunday, because we know what happens. Slowly but surely their hours get whittled down. And that's, we as a parliament decided to address that issue with the 0 hours legislation. We got there in the end. Well, why are we creating more opportunities for people in precarious employment to be exploited and forced to do things which take them away from their family, take them away from their community? It just shows how completely out of touch with reality for working people this national government has become. Mr. Speaker, this legislation is shambolic. It is going to create inconsistencies across the country. It is going to force councils to do things which are not only expensive, but will actually divide their communities as well. And I am very proud, I will be proud, to go and cast my personal vote against this legislation. And I say to the national MPs who have consistently voted against Easter trading in the past, it's time to get some guts, it's time to find your conscience, come and join us over in the Nose Lobby.
Melissa Lee.